For more on this, we're joined by Jonathan David Lamb. He's an oil and gas policies analyst and joins us from London. Welcome back to the programme, Jonathan. Now, Brent crude has slipped below that key $100 mark again because of renewed diplomacy, despite the US's blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. Is the market being too optimistic about this ceasefire?
Well, when we look at the number of vessels that have passed through the Strait of Hormuz since a week ago or so, when it was supposedly opened, we can see that there's actually been very little change. Not very much oil has come out. And so we still have the same shortage of oil that we had 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the fact that the market now seems to be pricing in a solution to the problem could well be optimism on part of market participants, I think.
Now, we just heard about a sanctioned Chinese tanker passing through the Strait of Hormuz despite the new US blockade. How significant is this challenge to Washington's enforcement? And do you expect the US Navy to actually intercept these vessels if more follow suit?
Well, I think the US administration has placed the blockade of Hormuz at the top of their agenda in terms of creating for themselves more bargaining power. So I'd be quite surprised if they allowed this to continue. 1 or 2 ships maybe, but sooner or later, I think the US Navy would have to intervene. Otherwise, the negotiations are going to change.
Meanwhile, OPEC data shows an almost 8 million barrel a day drop in output for March. How long do you think the global economy can absorb such a decline?
Well, we obviously we still have large amounts of strategic stock around the world for crude oil. I think the longer it goes on, obviously, the higher the price goes, but also we have more problems with some of the products, for example, jet fuel, where we already have a really big shortage, and maybe some of the more esoteric products like helium. I think that's where it's going to bite first. But if this problem is not solved within the next few weeks, then I think $100 per barrel oil is far below where we're going to end up.
Right, and we're also hearing reports of US gas prices hitting $4 a gallon and concerns about global food security due to fertilizer shortages, as you've mentioned. If the April 22nd ceasefire deadline passes without a deal, how quickly could we see Brent crude blow past the previous $120 peak?
Well, oil markets react very, very quickly to news. So if the market is pinning their hopes on this date of 22nd of April and it passes and nothing happens, we've seen previously in the last few weeks how negative news can suddenly add $10, $15, $20 to a barrel of oil. So we would likely see something like that again.
Right, and do you think the US-Iran diplomatic talks can realistically address the root causes of the supply disruption, or is this merely a tactical delay?
To me, it looks like this is a tactical move. The wishes of the US and the wishes of the Iranian government are very, very far apart. The one thing that everybody wants is the oil and products to flow through the Hormuz in the short term. So it looks like there may be a tactical solution here, but perhaps a strategic solution is a little bit too difficult at this point.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Jonathan David Lamb in London, thank you very much for your insights.